Hello, Elfraid. I'm very sorry you caught me while I was still setting up. Absolutely devastating. I had to get coffee. Oh, my stream timer isn't even countdown working anyway, so that's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's always fine. We run a tight ship here at Archaic Prospect Twitch channel. And by a tight ship, I mean we are sinking as we speak. It's going well. How are you doing? How did your stream end up? Have you died yet on your permadeath no man's ski? Ooh, interesting. My stream bitrate is too high. I don't even know what that means. Oh, good. I'm glad you haven't been absolutely smoked yet. What's the achievement for? Do you have to get to the center of the universe on permadeath? Oh, it's because I'm not looking. I need to get back to playing some more No Man's Sky. It's a really good game. Yeah, that makes sense. That seems like it would be a pain in its own way. But I feel like if you're careful enough, you'll probably do absolutely fine. Elfie, do you know why my Twitch creator dashboard never saves its layout whatsoever? Oh god, the Sentinels. Aggro. Oh. No, it's on the Twitch thing proper. I need to figure out how to get the ads manager into OBS. Oh, I guess we're doing ads right now anyway. Oops. Well, whatever. Probably something with my cookies or some bullshit like that anyway. I don't know. Well, since the ads seem to fire of their own accord without me telling them to this time, I'm going to wait until these ads say that they're done before I actually start getting to the game itself. But, yeah, for those of you who are here, thank you and welcome. We love every one of our viewers. I'm going to take this opportunity to probably troubleshoot the fact that this game doesn't want to get captured. Every time I test this game, I will get it working in my test in OBS, and then the second I go live, it stops being able to capture anything. And it's only this game that screws me every time. So... we'll do it with display capture. It's not the best, but it'll do. Every time I alt-tab out, the game vanishes, and you get to see my Steam library. Them ads done yet? No, we got 30 seconds left on them. Okie doke. I'm very excited to find out that there is apparently a motorcycle lady in this game, and she looks cool as hell. Who's this woman, and why haven't I met her rad Wadjet Eye motorcycle yet? Her name is apparently Yoruno Tiger. Oh, damn it. I forgot to get a mug for my coffee. That's why I've got this screen. I'll be right back. Thanks, pancakes. From the top, I just wanted to say thank you all so much for coming. I wanted to thank all the Elfie Raiders if they're still here. We love an elf stream. She's been my friend since middle school and is a great streamer. I encourage everybody to check her out. I know she's going through a No Man's Sky hardcore run at the moment. But everybody's still around. We're playing the Chrono Jotter today. This is a visual novel about sort of what seem to be completely insane time-traveling lesbians who are in some sort of weird repeating murder game mystery situation. I know it can be a huge pain to come into visual novels in the middle of things. It's always a little bit perplexing. But if you stick around and find yourself interested and want to know more about how we've gotten here and how we've gotten to this point, I do have a YouTube channel where I try to post all of the VODs, usually same day or day after. So if you ever want to catch them on your own time, you can always find them there. The link is down below in my little profile thing. But yeah. We love being here. We love reading things aloud and narrating to people. So sit back, grab a cup of tea, and buckle on up, or whatever your beverage of choice is. I'm really scrambling today, folks. I don't know what's up. I feel scattered all over the place. But that's fine. We're fine here. Let's go back on in. Last time, oh boy, what happened exactly last time? It was a lot of chatting. We got to know a whole bunch of people. We figured out how they do their lot system for who gets to murder and be the murderer. All that kind of fun stuff. We learned about weird sort of time-traveling astronaut things, another completely psychotic thing that our protagonist Ron said as if it were totally normal. There really is just a bunch of stuff going on. We had just gotten back to one of the dorms, I believe. We are still on Chapter 1. And we've been hanging out with the class president, who I personally am suspecting is the murderer again this go-around, because she is acting incredibly suspicious. So, I think with that, let's dive on back in, everybody. The air was somewhat stifling, Ron raised her head to look up at the cloudless sky. She'd come to the dormitory entrance at exactly the appointed hour in order to avoid opening her room door and running into Koizumi immediately. I really expected her to show up before I did. Only after 5 minutes had passed did Koizumi push open the dormitory door and appear before Ron. She carried a picnic box and an umbrella in her hands. Sorry to keep you waiting, Buki-san. I had already finished preparing when I remembered that it might rain, so I went back and got an umbrella. Though it doesn't rain much here whenever it rains, it always tends to rain for days on end. It's fine. I just arrived too. The class president asked to meet me at the dormitory door just to deliver a line like that. Ron quickly added a clarification. I mean it. I really did only just arrive. Haven't waited long at all. Oh. Forget it. Let's just go. Okay. Ron turned and headed directly for the school gates. She slowed her pace down a bit so that Koizumi could keep up, and the two of them advanced side by side. Ooh, creepy tunnel. This time, as they headed towards the tunnel at a normal rocking speed, Ron realized that this road was actually quite long. She must have caused Ann a lot of pain last time when she dragged her at a running pace in the rain down the whole road's length. Miss Sakura didn't even get mad with me, though. I should apologize to her again once we get back. Ron headed ahead into the tunnel. The light dimmed immediately. She turned on the flashlight on her phone, but the light was too weak and insufficient to light the path ahead. Well, that's a problem. Just then, a bright light suddenly appeared from behind her. Ron turned her head and saw that Koizumi was carrying a flashlight. Well prepared, aren't you? Well, I was hoping I could help you, Ibuki-san, so I made a lot of considerations while packing. Ron heard confidence from Koizumi's voice. She didn't like it. Look, class rep, I really like Miss Sakura. Imagine the most you think a person can possibly love another person, and multiply that by 10,000. Ron reached to the end of the tunnel, where the rocks obstructed the path forward. So I really think that you should give up on me. Oh, don't worry about me, Ibuki-san. I'm only doing what I want to do. You don't need to feel burdened at all. Ron took the flashlight that Koizumi was handing to her and pointed it down at the floor as the two of them looked at each other. It's already become a burden to me, and Miss Sakura seems to be very concerned about you. More than she is for me. I'm sorry, Ibuki-san. Koizumi hesitated a few moments before speaking again. Sorry. Ron didn't want to hear her repetitive apologies. She turned around and pointed the flashlight at the rocks. Doesn't look particularly special. Ron put a hand on the rock, feeling a wet sensation in her hands. Lichen. Ron swung the flashlight around, identifying a loose chunk of rock stuck in the middle of the pile, close to falling. She raised her head and carefully inspected the area around the stone. Probably can dig this one out without collapsing anything else. Come up here and hold the flashlight for me, class rep. Koizumi stepped forward quickly and helped Ron illuminate the pile of rocks. After that, Ron reached out and took hold of the rock wedged in the crack. Do you need me to help? No need. Just holding the flashlight will be enough. The rock was wedged in tightly. Ron used all the strength she had, but even then it only caused the rock to scrape back and forth within the crack against the other rocks, grinding irritatingly as it did so. Ron gave up, pulling the rock out directly and rather pushed it to the left instead. The lichen on the rock pressed into the lichen in the crack, and accompanied by the sound of flowing water, the stone showed clear signs of loosening. Excellent. Ron grabbed the rock once again with her feet to the ground and her shoulders low set. She gave it a pull with both hands, and with a series of cracks, the rock came free from the stubborn crevice. The momentum of it caused Ron to stumble several steps backwards, still holding the stone. Seeing it, Koizumi quickly stepped up and caught Ron. Ibuki-san! I'm okay. Managed to get it out. Ron's hand trembled slightly as she carried the boulder. Flashlight. Shine a flashlight down that crack, will you? Koizumi nodded and pointed the light towards the scene of Ron's struggles for the past few minutes. Behind the crack, there were even more layers of broken stone, no different from the rest. Ron, taking deep breaths, headed out of the tunnel. Koizumi immediately followed, helping to illuminate the path for her. When they reached the exit of the tunnel, Ron stopped and tossed the rock out of the tunnel. The rock landed on the ground and rocked back and forth a bit for momentum before falling still. Hasn't transformed even after leaving the tunnel. Ron stepped out of the tunnel and took a look under the light of the sun as the bits of wet lichen still stuck to her hands. The lichen was real too. It hasn't vanished just because it was removed from the tunnel. A few raindrops landed in Ron's palm. Ron looked up at the rain clouds gathering over them in the sky before returning her thoughts to the tunnel. But the problem isn't with the tunnel itself. Perhaps at the school and the nearby foot-accessible area are both considered one unitary whole. Let's go over the anomalies again. Firstly, nobody is concerned about clearly being unable to leave here. Some kind of cognito hazard? Indefinitely available necessities for everyday life, maintaining the stability of the environment, and of course, the murder game where revival is possible. Let's assume that's the purpose for which we've been brought here. And I think I've got it. Cognitive disruption, a closed but stable environment, and certain strange and distinct rules. I've encountered many supernatural phenomena like this before. You have? Really? Okay. The true mastermind probably just wants to see us murder each other back and forth. The question is where this being is, and why it selected us in particular. Ron shook the lichen off her hands and looked to her side to see Koizumi diligently holding an umbrella up for the two of them. Are you planning to clear out all the rocks in the tunnel by yourself, Ibuki-san? Nah. There's way too many to move without serious excavation tools or time. Not to mention I haven't even gotten Miss Sakura's memories back. I've at least got to figure that out before I leave. That's right. It's the same type of anomaly as the Red Ruins. Then I haven't the foggiest why the rules have caused Miss Sakura to lose her memories. Once again, another completely wild thing that Ron has said, as if it's totally normal. Because if it's part of the rules that this place operates under, then all of us should have lost our memories. Even I've only forgotten how it was that I got here. Alright, what the shit are the Red Ruins? Where did you note that? You said you noted it. It's not a character. Not a term. Maybe this is not here. Wait. Oh, there's another page. I'm a buffoon. The Red Ruins. A region situated in the far eastern reaches of Russia within an area of approximately 6.6 square kilometers. Humans who enter the area will be compelled by certain rules, the details of which are unclear due to Ron's memory loss, to participate in a certain activity. After 12 days pass, all participants will depart from the ruins uninjured. However, their personalities will become drastically altered, and they will from then on behave in a way that is consistent with common behaviors displayed by average adult citizens of the Soviet Union in the 1960s. Furthermore, they will now loudly broadcast their new beliefs and manifesto in public gathering spaces. Ron Ibuki once entered these ruins, but escaped from them after only one day. She experienced no alterations to her personality. I love how she is saying that my memory hasn't been affected in any way. I only don't remember how I got here. When every single one of these notes mentions the fact that she doesn't understand something due to her memory loss. This woman is the most unreliable narrator. If you did miss a bot scoop... Oh, no. That was that was Pancakes informing me that I had left my mic muted. Welcome in, Scoop. I had just been standing here silently talking. But, yeah. No bots were missed. All is well. Yeah, I'm really scrambling this morning, Scoop. Morning? It's afternoon. God damn, what's wrong with me? Okay. There's still a different path here, though, so let's keep going and see where it leads. Yeah, I know it's afternoon. It's well and truly afternoon. It's nearly dinner time. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just... you know. I lost track of time. That's it. The raindrops fell with increasing density, and the rain grew heavy, but it didn't deter Ron from deciding to press onwards. Ron walked to the edge of the path and stuck her head out, inspecting the cliff beneath. It wasn't very tall, just 5 or 6 meters high, with a grove of bushes underneath. Beyond was dense and unending forest. Even in the worst-case scenario, if I slipped and fell, I probably wouldn't sustain any injuries as long as I slid down the incline. Let's keep going. Ron stepped onto the path, which was only wide enough for one person at a time. She pressed her left hand to the side of the mountain and slowly creeped forward. Ibuki! Koizumi seemed afraid that she'd scared Ron if she'd shouted too loudly, so she closed her mouth and followed behind Ron. That's with something in OBS. The rain grew heavier and heavier. Ron couldn't help but constantly blink her eyes. She felt like with every step she took, the road in front of her became thinner and thinner. This was far enough for now. There was a sharp left turn in the path ahead, where the tunnel turned the other way. Interesting punctuation there. It was very difficult to push through this bend and storm, so Ron decided to turn back. She turned around to discover that Koizumi was still following her. That's Rep. What are you doing following me up here? I was worried. You're an idiot? This road's only wide enough for one person. Now that you're in the way, how are we supposed to get back? I'm sorry. I'll turn around immediately. Wait. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have yelled at you. Don't rush yourself. Make sure you turn around slowly and carefully. I'm not angry with you. Oh, okay. Koizumi nodded as she took hold of a protruding rock. Extending her right foot behind her, she slowly began the difficult process of turning herself around, alternating which hand she was using to hold onto the rock as she turned. Ron, for her part, quickly turned around and came to Koizumi's side, and raised her left hand to help make sure she didn't fall. Her actions caused noticeable tension in Koizumi, and she tightened her grip on the rock in response, but the conical surface of the stone was slippery with rainwater, and her hand slipped off. Losing her balance, Koizumi tilted backwards. Ron immediately leapt forward, trying to grab Koizumi's clothes, but she missed. Ibuki! Without thinking, Koizumi instinctively reached out. Ron acted before her brain could fully process the situation as well and grabbed her hand immediately. Wait, I can take that hand. I can't take that hand. The moment that thought appeared to her, Ron was dragged off the cliff herself along with Koizumi. Falling down a mountain into the woods. Ron got up from the ground, dusted her clothes off a bit, and looked up. Above was the path the two of them had just fallen from. The thing wasn't too high. I can't believe we actually fell down. I'm sorry, Ibuki-san. Koizumi was sitting on the ground, crying terribly. She wiped her face ceaselessly as the rain and tears together turned her eyes red. The picnic box and the now badly bent umbrella had landed near her left leg. Her pants had been torn in the fall, and her scraped thigh was exposed to the air. Ibuki-san, I'm sorry. What do we do? I shouldn't have tried to catch her back then. I should have gone back to the school and called for help. Can't be helped now. Let's calm the class president down first. It feels like the class president's always taking a fall, huh? Ron approached Koizumi's side and stretched a hand out. Come on. Let's calm down so that we can stand up and find a place to hide from the rain. Koizumi wiped her tears with one hand and took Ron's with the other. Ron pulled her up, putting some force into it. After Koizumi got up, she immediately collapsed into Ron's lap. What's wrong? Can't stand up straight? Koizumi shook her head, smiling wryly through the rain. I'm fine. You don't need to worry. Looks like she's got a sprain. In that case, we shouldn't move about too much. Let's go hide from the rain under that tree, and then we can call for help from our classmates. Ron supported Koizumi to the side of a tree and had her lean against it to rest while she retrieved the picnic box and umbrella. There's some cloth in the box that we can lay on the ground. Got it. Ron laid the picnic cloth flat on the ground. The leaves and branches above the two of them shielded them from the wind and the rain, creating a little shelter for them. It's a shame that the umbrella's broken. I always could have mounted it in the branches to help block the rain. Let's sit down and rest a bit, Class President. Okay. I'm sorry. Koizumi sat down on the tablecloth, pressing herself close to Ron. She began trying to clean her long, wet hair by hand. Oh, good. I'm glad you clipped my falling song, Scoop. Thank you. Did you bring your phone? Yes. Koizumi took her phone out from the pocket of her skirt, but the fall had bent her smartphone into a flip phone. Koizumi started crying again. Come on, it's okay. Don't cry. It's not a big problem. Look, we mentioned that we were going to the tunnel back at lunch. In the worst-case scenario, they'll notice that we're not back in time for dinner, and they'll come out here to look for us. Miss Sakura's quite clever, you know. I'm sure she won't take long to figure out that we slipped off the side of the path in the rain. Koizumi, still crying, nodded her head. Her mood didn't seem like it had particularly improved. Okay, let's maybe try something else. As Ron thought to herself, the thought came to her that the sounds of the rain and the whistling of the wind were actually quite lovely. As she watched the raindrops leave perfect ripples in the puddles and listened to the leaves rustle softly in the wind, time seemed to slow for her. Been running here and there nonstop, doing this and that. Feels like this is the first time I've encountered something that I can't do anything about, where all I can do is wait. Honestly, even though this is technically a disaster, it's kind of relaxing. Ron lowered her head and shoulders, and her breathing grew calm. She enjoyed a rare moment of rest. Koizumi, noticing Ron's change of disposition, slowly stopped crying as well and turned to face her. You know, Class President, it's a good thing you prepared so thoroughly. Because of it, our situation's not as bad as it could have been. Koizumi raised her head, her puffy red eyes making her look even more vulnerable than usual. We've got a place to hide from the rain, and a tablecloth to sit on. There's tea and biscuits in the lunchbox too, right? It's practically a real picnic. Thank you, Ibuki-san. I wish I could be as calm as you. Koizumi was trying her best not to waste Ron's efforts to cheer her up. She did her best to smile and wiped her tears away with her fingers. Well, that's all thanks to Miss Sakura, really. I was a lot worse before I met her. Before that, I'd have probably been crying even harder than you are right now. Really? I can't imagine that, Ibuki-san. Koizumi stopped speaking. Ron supposed she must have suddenly remembered the image of Ron, grabbing on from the old shower room and dragging her into running away together. It was probably easy to imagine Ron crying her eyes out with that context. But even though you may have been influenced and changed by Sakura, you're still able to make the choices that you yourself want. I'm so jealous of that. Really. What's that mean? I don't get it. Ever since I was young, everything in my life was already fully decided by my parents. The elementary school and middle school I went were both places where they had connections. What I used on a daily basis and what I did on a daily basis, they dictated pretty much all of it. I never had a chance to decide anything for myself. Same with this high school, really. I didn't want to come here originally, but they still sent me here anyways. While ignoring the class president's feelings for a moment, very important that she actually has an understanding of what a normal school ought to be like, and more importantly, that she remembers just how she wound up in this place. The situation has changed a bit again. Though, I've gotten on quite well with everyone, and I've already gotten used to having my choices made for me. I feel like you're making a mountain out of a molehill here. Plenty of people have their choices made by their parents for them, from their childhood to their adulthood. Ranibuki made a concerted effort not to let her own memories of her parents appear in the middle of the conversation. She deliberately pushed them out of her thoughts for the moment. I have Miss Sakura. I only have Miss Sakura. Besides, class rep, you've surely got the ability to make decisions on your own as well. You chose when to sleep and what to eat and how much to eat every day, right? Koizumi smiled wryly. Indeed. Since I left my parents and came here, I've become capable of deciding all these things on my own. The way Koizumi said that sent a chill down Ron's spine, as if some stray raindrops had finally landed and penetrated through to her back. Oh, they told me to become a teacher after I graduated, even though I'd much rather become a reporter. Ranibuki, not devaluing other experiences. Challenge impossible. Ron is kind of an awful person. She's not as reprehensible as the guy from Raging Loop was, but she's just kind of a bitch. She doesn't give a fuck about anyone but herself and Sakura. Like, at all. And even then, it's a really weird, twisted obsession. It's interesting. I like it. And incredibly unreliable as a narrator. It's really interesting. Well, teaching seems like it'd suit you. I'm a bit surprised that you want to become a reporter, actually. I feel like you'd be more suited for a sedentary job. Your parents' plans for you honestly aren't awful. Koizumi hugged her knees, shrinking down into a little ball. Holy shit, Ron, read the fucking room! Yeah, she only cares about this Sakura in relation to what this Sakura can do for Ron. But I've been ruled by these not awful things my whole life. Even though I didn't like them, I could never come up with a good reason to refuse them. And so I could never refuse them at all. Why would you need a reason to refuse? Just say you don't want to. I don't know. But I always feel like I should oblige any request that anyone makes of me. Like becoming the class president. Really, Takei-san would be much more suitable. But the class selected me for some reason, so all I can do is try to do my best in the position. After Koizumi finished speaking, Ron found that she wasn't sure how to respond. She wasn't very good at dealing with personal problems like this. No! Really? If there was a specific issue to resolve, she might have been able to contribute more. The rain fell harder and harder, showing no signs of abating, and eventually there was only the cacophonous sound of the downpour between the two of them. Ibuki-san. Koizumi broke the silence first. Even though I recently just talked about how I'm always forced to make decisions by others, this time, I chose of my own volition to confess to you, Ibuki-san. To be this close to you right now, I'm very happy about that. Maybe this will help boost my self-confidence. Well, you've definitely come to the wrong person. I can't help you with that. I'm as far from confident as you could get. All of my decisions are rooted in Miss Sakura. Then, Ibuki-san, can you become the source of my confidence, then? Koizumi's feelings for her had far surpassed Ron's expectations. It left her confused about why exactly Koizumi would be so fixated upon her. No way. That is not something I'm capable of. Koizumi nervously clutched her hands tight. I'm sorry. I'm acting like my parents. Trying to force you to do something that you don't want to do. What? So the class president clearly knows that I'm not interested. Why is she still trying then? Okay. These are totally different things anyway. Right now, I'm more worried about when exactly they're gonna come save us. I don't want to miss Yuruno's dinner. Then let's drink some tea while we wait. Well, now we're really having a camping experience then. Smiling, Koizumi extracted a thermos from the lunchbox and poured Ron and herself each a cup of tea. Alright, I think I've successfully helped the class rep relax. Time to ask her about Miss Sakura. Right, class rep. When you saw Miss Sakura for the first time, what kind of condition was she in? Sakura-san, huh? Koizumi thought as she took out the plastic box holding the biscuits. I first encountered her in our dorm room. Sakura-san seemed quite normal to me. She was sitting by the window, and after she saw me, she waved hello to me first. But then when I asked about her name, it turned out she didn't even remember it. She told me that she saw all the other rooms had people in them already, so she decided to wait here. Ah, Ibuki-san, you should try this chocolate cookie. Oh, thank you. What happened after that? Ron drank some tea to go with the chocolate biscuit. Its crisp texture and the way that the bitterness of the tea and the sweetness of the biscuit mixed together caused Ron to take another bite despite herself. Well, there was a registration sheet on the table from the first floor of the dorms, which told us who was assigned to which dorm room. Sakura-san said that she was waiting for me to arrive so that she could determine by method of elimination whether her name was Hinata Koizumi or An Sakura. That's Miss Sakura for you. She's never panicked before in her life. Probably never will. That's kind of sociopathic, in a way. Sakura's creepy. Sakura's really creepy. I think she definitely panicked a bit when you dragged her out of the shower room kicking and screaming. The class president is a real talent for snarking, huh? I think she imagines that she's indecisive. Well, once we got to the tunnel, Miss Sakura definitely calmed back down, and she led me right back to the school with just a few words. Honestly, the other students and I are all very curious what you two have been through together. The passion that you express for Sakura seems to be quite different from that of ordinary love. That's because it is different from ordinary love. Just saying, I love you, doesn't begin to express the way I feel about Miss Sakura in my heart. Koizumi poured Ron another cup of tea. If it's true that she was Ron's significant other and her therapist, I have a lot of questions. I don't know if it was implied that she was her therapist or if that she just was instrumentally helpful in dealing with Ron's schizophrenia. Because it could be that she was just like a grounding focus for her. And rather than being her direct therapist was just supportive in that situation. I imagine we'll find out a lot more about this assuredly fucked up relationship that they have. Oh yeah, the wording was concerning. This entire relationship, these people are all made of so many red flags that I can't even begin to start them. Everything is concerning. This place is a fucking mess. If it's possible, could you tell me a little about the two of you? Well, strange. I would never be willing to talk about my Sakura in front of most people. But when I face the class rep, it doesn't feel like such a big deal anymore. Sure. Give me a second to think about what to say. Ron described a few uneventful snippets of her regular life with An to Koizumi. Even so, Koizumi still listened attentively and occasionally let out a laugh. Ron didn't care whether the romantic stories she was telling Koizumi would hurt her unreciprocated feelings either. Just being able to go over her happy memories with An Sakura again was a great comfort to Ron as well. Time passed quietly, and the two of them didn't even notice when the rain had stopped, only coming back to their senses when they heard some voices calling out from afar. And then Miss Sakura... Hang on, do you hear that? Oh, yes! Koizumi nodded vigorously. I hear it! I think that's Yoruno-san. Took him long enough. Let's go. Can't believe I actually enjoyed this conversation, class rep. I'm glad that you enjoyed it, Ibuki-san. I'm happy too. Wow. Imagine having a conversation with someone and then just going, man, that conversation didn't suck as much as I expected it to. Ron, you're awful. Koizumi stood up. The clear light of the sun after the storm shone upon her, and Ron saw her smile as if she'd put all of her burdens down. Ibuki-san, once I graduate, I'll definitely tell my parents. I'll tell them that I don't want to be a teacher. This time, I'm sure I'll be able to tell them properly, because I've got Ibuki. Koizumi's words pierced through Ron's brain. A pain unlike any she'd suffered before took over her whole consciousness. Ron knelt on the ground to catch her breath. The sound of her breathing was so loud her ears rang. Koizumi, Hinata. Ron Ibuki opened her mouth, though that would allow the pain inside her skull to stream out. Ibuki-san! Koizumi seemed terrified as well. She knelt down beside Ron without any idea of what to do. Ibuki-san? Koizumi, this... Everything before Ron began to twist and distort, before finally fading into infinite darkness. Yeah, the first-person shooter damage indicators are on the edge of my vision again. Time to have a complete mental breakdown. What the fuck? As distant Ranabuki was from other people, even she knew full well that the math teacher, Hinata Koizumi, was the kind of person who was accustomed to giving way to the desires of others, someone whose first response was always appeasement. Other teachers frequently foisted off the work they didn't want to do themselves onto Koizumi like she was a garbage can without a lid into which you could shove any kind of trash. You died Dark Souls music sting as she just faceplants onto the ground. One day, Ron found Koizumi crying to herself in a rarely visited corner of the school. She asked the teacher, even after growing up, is finding a hidden place to cry all alone anyone can do? Koizumi Hinata was pained by these words. She knew the situation that Ron Ibuki had been in, at school, but she'd never paid particular attention to it. After all, nobody had requested that she do so. So she started trying to help Ron Ibuki. This was the first time, in a life that had been completely decided by her parents, that she'd made what felt to her like a meaningful decision. After that, the two of them often met in a corner of the school to chat about anything and everything. Ron had also noticed that the teacher seemed to care greatly about her. Even on its own, such a thing was a great aid to Ron. Later, Ron met An Sakura and became more and more outgoing. Koizumi was happy to see such a change in Ron as well. Koizumi gained great encouragement from witnessing Ron's transformation. She told Ron that she was going to make a change as well, that she would open her mouth for the first time to reject her parents' demands of her. Ibuki-san, I'm definitely going to tell my parents that I don't want to be a teacher, that I don't want to get married either. But starting the day after Koizumi expressed her determination, she never came back to school ever again. It didn't take long for the students to be informed that Koizumi had left her position due to getting married. For a while, the rumor mill went wild with this. Some people whispered that she had gotten pregnant out of wedlock and had been fired for it. Others suggested that she was a sexually promiscuous person. The students and teachers alike began to scrutinize Koizumi's previous actions in detail to find each and every fault in them. Even small issues that hadn't been worth discussing before had become evidence in support of Hinata Koizumi's obvious moral iniquity. Ranabuki was surrounded by these disgusting rumors. These statements targeted at Koizumi pained her own heart as well. She imagined the things that Koizumi must have experienced after defying her parents for the first time. Ran wanted to fight against the rumors for Koizumi's sake, to eliminate the false rumors that plagued the school. But she couldn't open her mouth. Ran hid herself in the secluded place, where she'd met with Koizumi each day, crying and dry heaving. Ran knew that she, like Koizumi Hinata, had the exact same lack of ability to make independent decisions. If she foolishly decided to try to make a difference, she would only invite destruction down on herself. Which was why An Sakura had to be by her side if she was ever to decide or change anything. Damn. Yeah, love to be a woman in society. Great, huh? Fuck, Koizumi, you got a raw deal, girl. Ran freed herself from the memories. She'd remembered everything about Koizumi now. Ibuki-san? Koizumi tried to help Ran stand up, but Ran's body seemed to have sunken into the ground. She couldn't move Ran at all. Alright, let's take a look at this now that we've apparently remembered Koizumi. Let's read her situation. Uniform styled after a sleeveless dress with a shirt and shawl. After she was selected as class president, she took the responsibility very seriously. Often indecisive and hesitant, tends to go with the flow when others propose ideas or suggestions. Easily falls into confusion when faced with unexpected situations. Responsible for teaching mathematics at the school. Was Ran's math teacher in high school, but departed from her position at the school a year after meeting Ran. She was the only teacher who ever sincerely cared for Ranabuki. She spoke with An Sakura a few times after Ran and An began dating. Koizumi seemed nervous around An Sakura, but also expressed understanding and support for Ranabuki's feelings. So are they all related to Ran? Everyone in this school? That's gotta be my theory, right? Which makes me suspect that the tiny shrine maiden girl is someone that Ran might have known as, like, a really old lady. And I think it would be funny if she was populating that now as a tiny, tiny child. They're all trapped in the worm cocoons. God, I hope those crazy midnight silk moth things or whatever come back. It's completely insane. That would be so off the walls in such a fun way. Are these just like all the influential lesbians that helped guide Ran along her way? Koizumi tried to help Ran stand up, but Ran's body seemed to have sunken into the ground. She couldn't move Ran at all. It's fine, Koizumi-sensei. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Ibuki-san? What are you saying? I can't hear you clearly. Ran trembled as she looked up at the high school version of Koizumi. So, in the end, Koizumi-sensei was still unable to refuse her parents' demand that she become a teacher after graduating from high school, just like how she was forced to get married after coming of age anyway. Welcome back, Pegasus Bat Spider. As always, as I have routinely banged the drum about, I upload my VODs to my YouTube video. You can always check them out. Link below. But right now, we just had an epiphany that this lady that we found is our old math teacher, who is now a child again in an infinite killing game. But yeah, we are currently playing a very crazy, unreliable narrator who is struggling, and it's an interesting experience. Oh, I'm fine, Koizumi. Okay. Koizumi still seemed quite confused. She must have been wondering why, after kneeling on the ground for a few minutes, Ron had suddenly changed the way she addressed her. Ron got up, and Koizumi followed her. Koizumi-sensei has appeared as her high schooler self in this place, and my brain was wiped clean of all memories about her without any incongruity detected. Ibuki! How'd you fall all the way down there? This memory is engraved so deeply, it's certain that it actually happened. Sai waved at them from the top of the cliff. I haven't lost my memories. Rather, someone must have stolen them from me. Ron looked at Sai and didn't answer her. Then, is it the same for the other students as well? Do I have to reclaim my memories of each of them too, one by one? If so, then where are Miss Sakura's memories hidden? Ron took a deep breath. She felt like she was approaching the true nature of this school. Ron, we are still in chapter fucking 1. You are nowhere near understanding the true nature of this school. But it was far from enough. Bath time. Ron scooped up some hot water and splashed it over her face. In the end, under Sai's guidance, she and Koizumi had found a path that led back up from the bottom of the cliff. On the whole way, Ron paid attention to any possible changes in the forest on the other side. She didn't try to find a pathway that looked like it might let her cross the woods, though. If she were to try or force herself through, who knew what would happen? Let's wait. Try that until I have no better alternatives. I'm far from exhausting my options right now, especially after I recovered the memories pertaining to Koizumi-sensei. It's a huge step forward. Ron dropped her shoulders into the tub, and the hot water wrapped her neck. The blood in her carotid arteries warmed as it rushed into her brain, bringing her great comfort. Have a bath, remember the horrors, go to sleep. It really is like the human experience, right? Chill, remember the horrors, sleep. Wake up, remember the horrors, sleep. Oh, Myth, you made it just after our revelation that the class president was our old math teacher, who has been youngified and brought here for some reason. She does not remember us, but we remember her now all of a sudden, and are having a real existential crisis about it. Before this, I didn't remember a thing about Koizumi-sensei, but after she took so many actions which lined up with my lost memories of her, I recovered those memories. Little things like the way she'd turn pages in textbooks by licking her middle finger, but more importantly, that last sentence she said to me before I regained my memory. That implies that... The door to the bathroom suddenly opened, startling Ron, who jumped backwards with a splash. The person who stood in the doorway was Koizumi, slightly hunched over with a flushed face, trying to cover her body as best as she could with her own hands. Koizumi? I'm sorry, I wanted to wait until you were done, but they... Koizumi's eyes were flickering here and there anxiously, and her shoulders were pulled in tightly. They said that I'd gotten wet from the rain too, so I needed to wash quickly as well, and then they shoved me in here. Right. Ron leaned forward, using both hands to support herself on the edge of the bathtub. You're completely right, actually. We should have been washing together from the start. Sorry. No, it's fine. I'm the one who's too scared to be with you, Buki-san. I know. Don't worry, just hurry up and get yourself a hot shower. Don't catch cold standing there. Koizumi nods and noticeably relaxes and starts showering herself. Ron laid down on the tiles of the bath and watched Koizumi from behind. Weird shit! Koizumi-sensei, I knew, apparently looked the exact same as she did in high school, except for her height. Fair skin and a super thin waist that was noticeable every time she put on a tracksuit and led us to lead us at the track. Koizumi watched her hair diligently. Her hair was very dense, and it took a lot of work for her to clean. Koizumi-sensei should be thirsty by now. Been many years since she was in high school. 30. 30 by now. Koizumi-sensei should be 30 by now. Not thirsty. That's Ron. Fuck. Why would she appear as a high schooler here? What's going on with the school's timeline? That's not even mentioning Indo. Indo's easily a whole century displaced from the present. Excuse me. The thirsty 30s, that's what you call them. Koizumi, after washing the soap suds off herself, entered the bath as well. Ron moved aside, making room for Koizumi. I guess. After being stuck in the rain for so long, it's so nice to take a hot bath. Koizumi turned to the side and let the water rise over her shoulders. She looked towards Ron, and the hot steam made her face seem both rosier and more mature than usual. I'm sorry that you were caught in the fall with me, Ibuki-san. It's okay. Ron didn't dare look at her. Koizumi's face was overlapping with her face after she became a teacher, and the pressure pushing Ron to throw up was resurging once again. Sorry, Koizumi-sensei. By the way, Ibuki-san, why did you suddenly fall to your knees earlier? Was there something wrong? Do you think maybe you should visit Takei-san for a checkup after this? I snoozed that once. Ron didn't know how she should answer. Not only was there no way that she could say anything about the future, but more importantly, right then she felt like she wanted to cry. She'd never seen that teacher who cared for her so much ever again. After Koizumi left her position, there was no doubt that it was because Ron didn't dare face her. Koizumi-sensei, I'm sorry. Should have stood up and said something for you. Ron bit her lower lip, forcibly buried her face into the water. Droplets splashed into Koizumi's face. Ibuki-san? What's the matter? Bubbles rose from the bottom of the water to the surface. Koizumi looked at the end of Ron's hair, refracted and distorted by the water into twisty zigzags, and reached out, wanting to touch her. But before she could make contact, Ron pulled her head up again, and the bangs of her hair pressed tightly onto her face, obscuring her eyes. Sorry. Her voice trembled. Sorry. Bathwater mixed with tears flowing down her face. Koizumi had no idea what Ron was apologizing for her, and so could only choose to remain silent. What a weird and awkward situation. I'm gonna run an ad break now. I'm gonna try to. I hit the run button. Whoop. Here we go. There we go. It's ad time, everybody. Hope y'all are doing well on this fine Wednesday. This is starting to get a little... I mean, like, it's always been interesting, but I'm starting to see the threads of some sort of weird tapestry that's going on here. And I'm very interested in what it means. I do suspect that Indo has to be someone she knew who was just really old. Someone who, like, lived through that era, pre-cell phones, probably, like, World War II and shit like that. Is that why it... I think I just finally was able to figure out how to save my stupid Twitch dashboard thing that I was having trouble with earlier. I'm thinking about playing Great God Grove after this. I feel like that could be a fun one on stream. Much sillier than the ones that we've been doing as well. There's that, and there's what's it called? I had on my Xbox thing. Culebra and the Souls of Limbo, which I just really like the character design for. These little guys got some real peak weirdos. Plays a little bone snake. So I got a couple things on deck that I feel like could be a fun time. As always, if there are any things that viewers want to see, let me know, because I'd love to know what you guys think I would be suited to in some ways, or what you think would be interesting to watch me do. Oh, looks like our ads have finished. I'm not doing Umineko. That will take 3 million years. Also, it's voiced. We're not doing that. Game cam. If I do Umineko, that's my entire streaming career forever. Welcome to Umineko, part 489. Much that I love Umineko. That's not something I'm doing on stream. That would be psychotic. I appreciate the hustle, though. Ron and Koizumi said their farewells to each other at the entrance to their rooms and returned to their own rooms. Sai was lying in bed, and when she heard the sound of the doors opening, she immediately poked her head out. Wow, you look like you're out of it. Take a hit to the brains from the fall? Ron didn't answer her and instead fell straight into her bed. Under the pillow was her notebook. Yuruno, you ever met me before? Huh? What's that question supposed to mean? There's no way I'd forget anybody as depressing as you. Ron laughed a bit, her face buried deep in the pillow, letting out a thick, muffled sound. Yeah, you're right. There's no way I'd forget anybody with a hairdo like yours either. Sai laughed as well, as if to answer Ron's laughter before she asked again. So, what's with that question? Not like you to ask a question for no reason. It's nothing. After Ron finished speaking, she heard Sai turning over in the upper bunk, followed by the lights to the room going out. Alright, well, you're probably exhausted after today. Get some rest. It was as she said. Ron was indeed exhausted. After Sai brought it up, she felt like she didn't even have the energy left to give an answer. Were we going to be visited by our weird midnight visitor again? Because we found a weird ghost last time that entered our thing as our, Nightmare Squiggles possessed our body. I forgot about that, because it was completely insane. She nodded before she realized that Sai couldn't even see her nod. Ron closed her eyes, hoping that she could get to sleep sooner rather than later. She also hoped that she wouldn't see Koizumi in her dreams. Nope, you'll only see her in the title card. Ron didn't dream that night. She slept until she awoke naturally. She took a look at her phone. It was still pretty early. The other students were probably still in their rooms. Let's get up early today, too. As Ron put on her jacket and got out of bed, she found that the sheets in the upper bunk had been folded and stowed neatly. Yuruno really does go swimming every morning, doesn't she? Someone's dead. Calling it now. We're gonna get the Danganronpa ass. A body has been found! Ron staggered her way out of the room. She noticed something was off as soon as she pushed the door open. Raising her head, she looked at the dim lights of the corridor. No natural sunlight in this corridor, so the hallway light is usually on. The electricity out? Ron headed down the stairs and saw that all of the students had already gathered there to discuss something. She didn't see Sai or An in the group, though. Yuruno probably went right to the classroom after she finished swimming. Sakura. Oh, good. Doing it again?
Good morning, Ibuki-san.
Tama meandered up to Ron as soon as she saw her. Good morning. What's going on?
The power to the dorm's gone out. Asakura-san and Takei-san are working on trying to fix it.
No, Class Prez is still here. I think if anyone's gonna be dead, it's gonna be, Yuruno, probably. Or it's gonna be An Sakura again, and it's gonna be the million deaths of An Sakura just to torture Ron. Like, in this whole subset. And An is always gonna be the victim. Ron could see the two of them discussing the situation next to the staircase, while Koizumi stood and listened attentively besides them. Morning, Ron-chan. Aya sidled up to Ron as well, casually laying her hands onto Ron's shoulders again. Anytime a situation develops here, we usually let the three of them deal with it. Is that so? They do seem reliable. Power outage. Where does the school get power from in the first place? A local generator? Or do they get power from outside somehow? This is the first time we've run into a power outage, actually, isn't it? An approached the group from the direction of the washroom and took a place next to Ron. Good morning, Ron. Miss Sakura. Ron immediately approached An, taking both of An's hands with her own, and leaving Aya unsure of what to do with her own arms. Miss Sakura, how did you sleep last night? You're hungry right now. Do you want breakfast? Let's have breakfast together, Miss Sakura. Oh, so that's how it is, huh, Ron? I have literally been acting like this the whole time. Right, Miss Sakura? An smiled a bit. I'm doing quite well. How about you, Ron? Yesterday might have been quite a day for you. Did you sleep well? I slept great. Look, Toyama, Miss Sakura cares about me so much. Isn't that normal? Good morning, Ibuki-san. Not sleeping in today, then. Miho's group seems to have reached a conclusion in their discussions. They approached Ron as well. Miho! Aya immediately pounced onto Miho, imitating Ron by holding onto Miho's arm. But hey, let go! Stop messing around! Despite what she said, Miho made no move to peel Aya off of herself. Still, Miho's token resistance gave Ron a small sliver of satisfaction. Miho, the power's out, right? Is it fixable? Yes. Asakura-san said that it probably is an issue with the generator, and that she'll go fix it after the school day ends at noon. It won't affect classes. We don't know what we're gonna do about lunch, though. Without power, a lot of the appliances can't be used, so Yuruno-san might have trouble making lunch. Don't worry about that. Sai's incredible. She'll definitely have something super delicious for us, even without electricity. Huh. I would sure like to see what she could possibly come up with. Mark my words, if she starts boiling water to make us all ramen, I'm gonna mock the hell out of her. Oh, power's out? Well, let's have barbecue for lunch then. Damn it, that actually does sound delicious. Woo! Oh, it's been a long time since we have had a barbecue. Let's do it like last time and start moving the tables to the dorm building's entrance.
Asakura-san, please allow me to help you with the grilling today.
Asakura nodded and gave Tama a pat on the head. Suddenly really looking forward to lunch. Damn, Yuruno sure is competent. Ron sat down next to Sai and began preparing for the first class. This time, she'd written down the class schedule. There's 2 periods of physics class up after this. Asakura seems like she'd be well suited to teaching this subject. So far, it seems like each of the students are only responsible for a single task at school, though. After the bell ringed to signal the start of class... Bell ringed? After the bell ringed to signal the start of class, it turned out that the person who headed up to the podium was actually Tama. Seriously? We're gonna get a lecture on modern physics from someone born in the Taisho era? But after she began lecturing, it turned out that Tama was actually a surprisingly talented teacher. She explained each of the topics in depth without skipping over any details. The pace of her lecture was a bit slow because of it, but even Ron could easily keep up with the lesson despite not having any of the textbooks. Ron was only able to break her attention away from the lecture when the end of period bell rang. Didn't even realize the class was over. Indo's teaching isn't half bad. Tama gave a long sigh of relief as she declared that the class was over, before immediately trotting over to Ron.
Ibuki-san, how was it? Was my lecture easy to follow?
A new student like Ron Ibuki surely made a valuable source of feedback for any educator seeking to improve their lesson plans. Honestly, it was great. Teaching isn't an easy or simple job, Indo, but you did really well. How did you learn to teach anyways?
Thank you very much for your praise. Actually, it was because I completely didn't understand physics at all, and I really wanted to understand it, so I actively volunteered to be the physics teacher. In order to not hinder my classmates, I studied very hard, and most importantly, Asakura-san helped me a lot.
See, so they all selected their responsibilities at the school themselves. Alright, let's go to the eavesdropping.
Yuruno-san, could I ask you to show me how to prepare meat properly again at today's lunch?
Sure. There's a lot of cutting that needs to be done for a barbecue, so work hard and learn well.
Thank you.
That's it. Can you teach me how to cut meat? Yes. Good conversation. You can't just do without Asakura, huh? Indo.
That's right. That's why I can really understand the feelings you have for Sakura-san, Ibuki-san. It's because I feel the same way.
Ron wanted to refute her comparison, but she decided to nod and let it pass instead. Ron looked towards An, who was chatting with Koizumi and Daya. Occasionally, Ron could hear the sound of laughter from their direction. She opened her eyes wide as if feeling as if she'd been transported to the past. Perhaps that was what the reward she'd earned with these past 4 years of hard work. To be able to sit in school uniform, in a classroom again, together with An Sakura. Even though a small note of dissonance in her heart had begun to grow, the joy of seeing An Sakura again was enough to override it for the moment, and she looked forward to the start of the next class period. It doesn't matter. No matter what happens, as long as I'm with Miss Sakura, it's not a problem. After the physics class ended, both of the remaining class periods that morning were chemistry class, which Aya was responsible for, and which Ron had happened to miss yesterday. Even though Aya's lecture was a little less stellar relative to Tama's, her chalkboard notes were surprisingly organized and neat. Ron felt like she could learn the whole day's worth of lessons just by staring at the chalkboard. Still watching, Aya tried to give a serious lecture. Ron couldn't help but crack up. Seriously, the class period's only halfway over, and it feels like Aya already wants out. When it finally came time for class to actually end, Aya let out a great big sigh of relief and her whole body slumped down. Then Aya immediately slammed herself into the empty chair just in front of Ron's seat. I'm so dead on my feet. Stuff's more exhausting than holding a B major chord for a whole hour. Your analogy is going over my head, but I feel like you did a decent job teaching-wise. But of course. You got Takei to write the notes on the board, though, didn't you? Oh, you must surely be joking. Of course I wrote them myself.
If you keep talking nonsense, I won't write the notes for you in the future anymore.
Miho gave Aya's head a light tap before taking out a black smartphone and handing it over to Ron.
Kozumi said she broke her phone yesterday, which reminded me that I should get you one as well, so that you can contact us more easily. With a phone, even if you run into trouble again, you can call us for help. Oh, thanks.
Ron turned the phone on. The address book was already populated with her classmates' phone numbers. Looks like it's the absolute newest model of phone. I've never seen this model before. Oh, I don't know much about phones. Maybe I just don't remember this one. Well, for now, I guess I can only use this one here. Once class is out, I'll go find Miss Sakura and we can get a selfie together for my new phone's wallpaper. Ron entered the address book and sent on a text. Miss Sakura, I've got a phone now. Let's eat together at the barbecue lunch. I'll do the grilling for you. An soon replied. Welcome in, Ava. This is the Chrono Jotter. I feel like you'll very like it's kind of Atlas. It's a visual novel thing. It's about a group of 8 lesbians in a murder mystery high school semi-supernatural stuck out of time thing. So we are there's a whole lot going on. But it's really unhinged and really gay. It's very fun.
Sure, thanks. I'm looking forward to it.
Ron put away the cell phone. Her heart was full of joy. Before she'd entered a relationship with Aunt Sakura, she'd often exchanged text messages with An before bed, though, at the time, the subjects of their discussions had been anything but sweet. Yeah, Ava, I do feel like you would be super into this one. This one feels very your brand. It's just a bunch of crazy lesbians going buck wild. Eventually, after that time, Ron's arm got cut off. Wait. What? Ron put away the cell phone. Her heart was full of joy. Before she'd entered a relationship with Aunt Sakura, she'd often exchanged text messages with An before bed, though at the time the subject of their discussions had been anything but sweet. Especially after that time Ron's arm got cut off. Huh? Yeah, this is a thing that the game likes to do, where it just drops the most insane fucking line out of nowhere, and then just keeps going. As if it's the most normal shit that anyone has ever said. But yes, as Scoop said, I have a YouTube channel that has all the VODs. I try to upload them day of, so if you ever want something to watch in the background while you're doing something, you can listen to my dumb ass. Why am I here helping you preparing skewers for the barbecue instead of enjoying the barbecue together with Miss Sakura, After the end of class, Sai had caught Ron trying to sneak off to have a conversation with An. Instead, Sai dragged her to the kitchen to help her prepare the materials for the barbecue. The rest of the students had taken the responsibilities of setting up the table and preparing the grill in the meantime. You don't do any of the work at school or in the dorms, so the least you can do is help me out with the barbecue. Right, Takei? Miho didn't hear Sai calling her name at all. She was too focused on cubing the beef steak to answer. She'd actively volunteered her help with the food preparation, and after Sai had shown her how to prepare the meat and told her the amount that they needed, Miho had poured her whole heart and soul into the work. Just a lot more inefficiently than either of the other two had expected. Miho really wants to learn how to cook. Every time she comes here to ask me to teach her, she takes it really seriously. Sai was very adept at making meat skewers, and finished one every few seconds. In comparison, Ron's motions could only be described as struggling. Were you in the barbecue club in middle school, or what? What kind of school would have a club like that? Sai's hands continued to work automatically as she looked at Ron. My little sister and I just held a lot of seaside barbecues before. Eventually, I picked up a thing or two. Ron nodded, before realizing that she'd just crafted yet another lopsided skewer. I'll let Yurino have that one once we serve them. Okay, that's enough. Sai grabbed Miho by the wrist, bringing her back to her senses.
What is it, Yurino-san? I haven't yet made enough, have I?
Nah, it's fine. You and Ibuki should just carry the skewers out and start grilling. Sai looked pointedly through the window, where Aya had already started pounding her fists on the table in impatience. McDonald's! 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 Leave the rest to me.
So embarrassed on Aya's behalf.
Urino, you can make more skewers later. Come eat with us first. If I went to eat as well, there'd be nobody to serve up more for you later. Sai took the knife from Miho and started chopping the meat with a brisk rhythm. Incredible. Miho felt like Sai was using a completely different tool than the one that she'd been using. Okay, that's enough gawking. Shoo. Sai finished chopping a piece of meat in an instant and wiped away the traces of mincemeat on the blade with a cloth. Take the skewers and start grilling already. They're all practically drooling outside.
Okay.
Ron picked up the platter and headed outside. Behind her, she could still hear the sound of Sai's precise chopping. On second thought, maybe I'll just eat the lopsided ones myself. Ron licked her lips a bit. The taste of cumin still lingered on her lips. The barbecue festivities had come to an end, and all that was left was the aftertaste and an uncomfortably full stomach for Ron. Very relatable. I'm absolutely stuffed. Let's go find Miss Sakura and take a tour around the campus to help digest. Ron pulled out her phone. Unlike with the previously broken screen, this time she could clearly see her love's face. The wallpaper was a selfie of Ann and herself, which Ron had taken while they were eating. I can finally see Miss Sakura's face clearly. I should take more photos from now on.
Ibuki-san.
Tama pushed open the dorm entrance and came to Ron's side. Indo? What is it?
I was wondering if you would like to take a walk around the school with me, Ibuki-san. I'm sure there's many places you still haven't visited, right?
Oh, she actually had the same thought as me then. What about Asakura? Don't you need to follow her around or whatever?
Asakura-san is going to repair the generator. She said that it was loud in there and that the quality of the air wasn't very good, so she told me I didn't need to follow her down there.
Oh, I see. So, I'm the backup option then. But, sure. I've already decided that I don't need to be so impatient with trying to make a breakthrough on Miss Sakura anyways. Starting from other people and approaching the goal in an indirect way is also perfectly viable. Very well then. I'll be counting on you to be my guide.
Okay, Ibuki-san.
Okay.
Where should we go next, Ibuki-san?
We can visit 2 places and meet up with Koizumi, Aya and Miho, or Sai. I want to go see Aya and Miho. They're my favorite idiots. Let's head back to the kitchen.
Why? Did we forget something?
Nah, it's just... we ate a lot just now, and even though I know you have your own system for the chores, I'd feel bad leaving such a giant mess for the girls who are stuck on duty today to clean up all on their own. Let's head back and lend a hand.
You're right, Ibuki-san. Let's help where we can.
Ron, walking in, pushed open the dorm entrance first. She heard the muffled voices of Miho and Aya, who were apparently on duty for cleanup today, discussing something with each other. Instinctively, she slowed her steps, trying to hear their words clearly before she continued on. But Miho seemed to have been interrupted and was now only making indistinct whimpering sounds. Ron grew concerned and quickened her steps again. Once they passed the corner, Ron and Tama arrived at the kitchen. There they saw Aya turn around to look at the two of them, while Miho covered her own mouth with her hands, her face burning red. Ron-chan? What are you doing here?
Ibuki-san felt that it would be unfair to leave all the cleanup to you two, so she came to help.
Oh-ho! Ron-chan's pretty considerate, huh? How nice. Aya said with a smile before turning to Miho. How about it, Miho? Shall we invite the two of them to join us? Miho frowned a little. After a moment, she pulled her hand from her mouth. Sure, of course.
Then let's begin cleaning, Ibuki-san.
Sure. I can only do so many voices, Ava. I'm trying. I'm fighting for my life here, trying to keep all 8 of these people disparate. These two. Seriously, what were they even up to? I'm trying! The 4 of them, working together, quickly finished cleaning up. Ron, though, felt that the mood had become awkward for some reason, so she and Tama quickly departed the dorms together after that. Oh no. Myth, who's your favorite? Tama said she wanted to take Ron to see the new changing room, standing opposite to the old shower room, so the 2 of them headed to the pool.
You still haven't visited them, right, Ibuki-san? If you ever want to go swimming, you can change there.
Not only have I already visited them through recall, I absolutely never want to go swimming ever again. After reaching the pool, they discovered that Sai was, for once, not at the swimming pool. Yuruno's not here, huh? How rare of her.
Even Yuruno-san has to take breaks occasionally. Plus, we just finished eating after all.
Is that so? I can't imagine her choosing to take a break when it comes to swimming. Tama took Ron to the new changing rooms as planned, but found that she couldn't open the door.
What's the matter? I can't get it open.
Let me see. Ron reached out and turned the handle a few times. It felt like it was stuck. She was quite familiar with the situation, or sensation. The door's not locked, it just stuck. Probably the locking cylinders got jammed. There's a body in the fucking thing.
Wow, Ibuki-san! How'd you know that? That's incredible!
Just have some experience is all. So, do we call Asakura to fix this?
Mm-hmm. Looks like it'll be a busy day for Asakura-san today.
Ron and Tama returned to the poolside. Dark clouds blocked out the sun, making visibility somewhat poor. Still is a bit strange, though. Feels like ever since my arrival, Yuruno's always taken every opportunity possible to spend time in the swimming pool.
Could it be that she's the victim this round? And she's already been killed and her body hidden?
That's what I said! Tama sounded quite nervous. Ron could tell that she was just worried for Sai's safety, though. Possible, but since it's Yuruno, for all we know, she'll come floating to the surface of the pool any time now, belly side up like a fish. Ron couldn't help laughing.
If Yuruno-san heard you say that, she'd be quite cross, I'm sure.
Not like she can hear us anyways. Suddenly, a hand darted out from the water and seized Ron by the ankle. What the hell? Ron fell over to the floor as the hand retracted back into the water. Shortly after, Sai rose from the water, hair disheveled. Well, well, well. I wasn't expecting this kind of entertainment when I decided to go for a bit of a dive. Sai brushed her bangs aside and grinned at Ron's consternation. Maybe I should pull you into the water and make you come floating to the surface of the pool, belly side up like a dead fish now, eh?
Are you okay, Ibuki-san?
Even Tama couldn't help but laugh as she reached out a hand to help Rand up. Every time I come to the pool, you just have to have some kind of surprise for me, huh? Ron patted herself off and continued. By the way, the changing room door seems to be stuck. Oh, I know. I changed on the other side this time. I'll call Asakura to check it out later. With that, Sai kicked off the side of the pool and went back to swimming. Done letting you mess around with me now. You were clearly the one messing around with me. Tama laughed cheerfully, watching from the sidelines. It seemed she'd enjoyed the sight of Ron and Sai bickering with each other.
Well, let's go then, Ibuki-san.
Let's get out of here. And then never come back to the swimming pool ever again. As Ron followed Tama out, she thought to herself about Tama's predictions. It's true. There really hasn't been a body discovered yet. After that, Tama took Ron to the lab room and to the art room. These two rooms are rarely used, so the two of them didn't stay for long. Even though we only took a quick look, all the tools and equipment was there. If somebody actually wanted to study properly here at the school, they wouldn't see any trouble for lack of equipment. The real problem is, of course, what's going to actually happen the day they all graduate? Is the school really just going to let them leave as normal? Everyone else I could maybe see, but what's going to happen to Indo and Koizumi-sensei? Are they going to get sent back to their own timelines or something? There's no way, right? This ought to change their futures massively. Or does it mean that the Koizumi-sensei I knew really did spend time here when she was younger? No, that's even more impossible. No matter what the truth is, manipulating time is no small feat. If the true mastermind behind this whole situation has that kind of power, then we're in some serious trouble.
Ibuki-san!
Tama shouted in a voice much louder than her usual speaking voice. Sorry. I was just thinking about something. What is it? Tama held up her phone tightly as her eyes wandered.
I'd like to go visit Asakura-san. It's been a long time already, but he still hasn't contacted me. He hasn't even replied to my texts. I don't know if something's happened. Maybe she's in trouble and needs my help. Or even...
Tama's breathing grew more and more panicked, as though her fears had already come to pass.
If it turned out that Asakura-san had been killed,
Calm down, and you're getting too worked up. I'm sure that it's just the generator is taking a lot of time to fix. You go on ahead if you're worried. I'll keep looking around on my own. Tama made a hasty bow and then ran off. So that's why she's been checking her phone over and over this afternoon, huh? Well, it's me now. Or two now. Seems like it'll rain soon. Let's visit one last place before heading back to the dorms. Ooh, on or Aya. On or Aya. Let's do on. It's the Ranabuki way. Always on. Miss Sakura, where are you? Let's hang out. Ron sent the message to An and waited for a response. After less than a minute, a notification popped up on Ron's screen indicating that An had replied. I'm at the observation deck. Great. Ron immediately rushed back to the dorms, dashed up the stairs, and pushed open the door to the observation deck. Ron? Miss Sakura! An Sakura was sitting on a bench at the observation deck. Ron rushed forward and took her hands and sat down at her side, their shoulders pressing together tightly. Tama took you on a tour of the school just now, did she? How do you feel about this place? Any location with you in it is a lovely place, Miss Sakura. Ron's response left An at a loss for words. She hesitated a moment before she spoke again. I mean, besides me. Have you been enjoying spending time with the other students as well? Who cares? As long as Miss Sakura is here, it doesn't matter what everyone else is like. Ron intentionally exaggerated her feelings, hoping An would quickly understand her positive sentiments. An's hand tightened in Ron's grasp, and she hesitated, once again. That was another emotion that Ron had never seen on her before. Then, An laid her other hand upon the back of Ron's. Really having a lot of trouble accepting such strong feelings from you. Only the real An Sakura should be the one to accept your feelings, and I'm not the one you're looking for in your heart, so... An seemed to be pondering how to express her thoughts. So I don't have the right to accept them. Ron's expression darkened immediately, and An, upon seeing this, rushed to speak again. But if it's only memory loss that's causing all this, and I still have the exact same self as the An Sakura you hold dear to your heart, then I'd be obligated to accept your feelings for the sake of the original An Sakura. Honestly, this has put the current me into a real conundrum. Let's see. So that's why Miss Sakura has been distancing herself from me, intentionally or unintentionally, despite what she said to me in the rain. Originally, she was using her actual body, the one that belonged to Miss Sakura, as the justification of her love for me, but now she's considering it from the standpoint of her own thoughts and the differences in her personality instead, and led her to feel that she can't accept my feelings. Ron took into her palm the hand that An had moved away as well and spoke. No, Miss Sakura. You could have just completely ignored me, continued to live the way that you wanted to, but now you're feeling burdened by the need to properly respond to my feelings.
The fact that you're considering my feelings at all is proof that you are the person that I love. Perhaps I'm doing this just for my own sake, though. After all, if I recover my memories, then the present me will no longer exist anymore. What do you mean? No matter what happens, you'll always be... An reached out with a finger and stopped Ron's words by sealing her lips. Ron, let me ask you this. In the current me, the An Sakura who's recovered her memories, whose side do you stand on? Of course, I'd hope that you could recover your memories, Miss Sakura, but what do I truly love, really? Not the memories, right? It should be the person I'm in love with, not the memories. And the person in front of me right now is unquestionably Miss Sakura, so should I choose her? A voice rang out in Ron's head, telling her that memories were unimportant. That two people who were together could always create more memories together. Not that simple, though. The experiences I shared with Miss Sakura were irreplaceable. Miss Sakura saved me from my suffering. I needed those memories. But Miss Sakura... Ron didn't know what to do. She didn't want to express any kind of refusal towards An Sakura. An cupped Ron's face in her hands. Sorry, Ron. Two of us should face this question together. Ever since you come here, I feel like I've changed a bit as well. Things you've said have me ponder things once more. We continue to live under the same roof like this. Perhaps both you and I will change even further, and eventually, we'll reach an answer to all these questions. Ron nodded. The way she'd regained Koizumi's memories and had inspired her greatly, and if they continued to accumulate shared life experiences together, perhaps An's memories would return to her in the same way. I understand, Miss Sakura. Also, Ron leans in, bringing her face close to An's. You give me a kiss? An couldn't help herself and giggled. Why are you so insistent on kissing anyway? Well, because Ron was having trouble getting the words out through her embarrassment. Because before, when I was upset or when I was crying terribly, Miss Sakura always kissed me to make me feel better. Even though it was the same excuse that Ron had used yesterday, An still acceded to Ron. Is that how you're feeling now? Upset? Well, yes. I feel upset all the time, every day. An held the sides of Ron's head and lightly kissed Ron on the forehead. Will that do? Yes, it will. Ron leaned forward and hugged An's waist. Thank you, Miss Sakura. Jesus Christ. Ron and An arrived at the first floor of the dormitory together. As it happened, Sai and Asakura had also just returned to the dorms at the same time. Asakura-san, has the generator been fixed? Asakura nodded, carrying a toolbox in both hands. Yes. Well, it's been fixed for a while now, but there was something I couldn't carry by myself, so I had to take a bit of time to ask Iruna for help. Took the opportunity to fix the door that Iruna had broke at the swimming pool as well. Oh, she's talking about the door to the changing room at the pool. What do you mean, the door that I broke? Huh? Ron noticed that something was off. Hey, where's Indo? Tama? What about her? She took me on a tour around school, but halfway through the tour, she said she wanted to go find you, so we split up. Have you not seen her? Asakura blinked, her eyebrows drooping. No, I didn't. Maybe we just happened to miss each other. I remember Indo said she sent you a text. Did you not get it? Let me check. Asakura set down the toolbox and checked the pocket of her dress. She found nothing within. I seem to have lost my phone. Maybe you dropped it fixing the generator. Possibly, but I'm going to blame you for this one. I figured you'd probably be swimming, so I didn't bother to try to contact you with my phone. I'm sure I'd have noticed if it was missing if I did.
Sai rolled her eyes at Asakura, who continued with a smile.
To make up for it, why don't you do me a favor and give Tama-chan a call?
If you want me to call her, just say it up front and skip the pleasantries. Sai dialed Tama's phone number, but received only a notification that Tama's phone had been turned off. Looks like Indo forgot to charge her phone again. You gotta remind her about that more. We've gotten so many false positives on is someone fucking dead that I have no idea. I want to say Indo's fucking dead, but I thought that about Sai. I thought that about An. I thought that about Stoner Girl, Aya.
Well, Tama wouldn't leave before she got to see me. I bet she's just sitting around somewhere because her phone died and she's afraid to run around on her own. Let me go check the power room again.
Asakura picked up her toolbox, stowed it back in the tool room, and left the dorms. Sai looked down and noticed that Ron and An were holding hands. What, finally got a chance to speak, so now you're not letting her go?
Exactly. I'm never letting her go ever again.
Well, as long as you don't suddenly decide to run away while holding her hand like last time. I still remember how you straight up sent me flying when I got in the way.
Why are you bringing that up again?
An laughed in amusement as they heard the sound of footsteps coming from the stairs.
Ah, everybody's here then. The power seems to have been fixed.
It's okay? I thought Miss Sakura and I were the only ones in the dorms.
Cleaning the dinner table and the kitchen took a while. I've been upstairs doing homework until now.
I see. Toyama isn't with you?
She, just went out. Probably to the music room to practice her guitar.
Miho was, for some reason, stuttering as she spoke. Well, perfect time to take a break then. Let's go to the kitchen and I'll whip you all up some drinks. Ibuki, this place has the materials to make basically everything, by the way. Coffee, milk tea, black tea, whatever you could want. Wow. I feel like Sai is single-handedly keeping life at the school fun for everyone all on her own. Why does this look so low-res? Weird. The squeal of boiling water rang out in the kitchen, along with the splattering raindrops from outside the window. It filled the dormitory with sound. Just as Koizumi said, when it rained here, it tended to rain consecutively for several days.
I'd like some black tea if that'd be convenient for you, Yurina-san.
Don't you usually go for the milk tea?
We just had barbecue today, so I'd like something less cloying this time.
Sai laughed as she reached for one of the higher cabinets in the kitchen. Ready to gain in weight? Sure Toyama wouldn't mind even if you did.
Holy fuck. There's nothing to do with her.
She and Toyama sure have a great relationship. Sai repeatedly pulled at the cabinet door, which let out a series of clunking sounds. What's wrong? All the times for the door to jam. What a pain. On the one day somebody wants black tea, too. Sorry, Miho. Looks like the door to the black tea cabinet's stuck. Want something else? Wait, that whole cabinet is for nothing but black tea?
I guess I'll have some green tea instead. The cabinet's broken?
Sai craned her neck and checked the cabinet's hinges. It's not a big problem. I'll come back with a screwdriver and fix it real quick later.
Then I'll have a green milk tea, I suppose.
Nope, wrong voice. That was British. That was the Ponzi lady.
Then I'll have a green milk tea, I suppose.
Huh? Why? Ron had shouted those words, startling An greatly. What? Is something wrong?
No, just...
Never mind. In the past, An Sakura only ever drank coffee. The kind that was topped with lots of milk and sugar, every time. Due to her influence, Ron had taken on similar tastes in coffee as well. It's so weird to realize how different Miss Sakura is from before through little things like this. So, Ibuki, what'll it be? How about a strawberry milk?
The hell? No, I'm not a kid. Give me an iced coffee with extra sugar and milk.
Gotcha. Sai had busied herself with preparing the drinks when the phone she'd set down on the counter suddenly began to vibrate. She turned her head and looked at the screen while her hands continued to feed coffee beans into the electric grinder. Asakura says she still hasn't found Indo, so she's gonna keep looking outside. Can't wait to find out that Indo is in the black tea cabinet for some reason.
Indo-san tends to get anxious whenever she's too far from Asakura-san. I doubt she's gone far.
The two of them have a very special relationship, don't they?
Mm-hmm. Indo-san really clings to Asakura-san, and Indo-san can be a bit dense on occasion, so Asakura-san takes particular care to watch out for her.
Dense? I thought you all said that Indo's murders always tended to have extremely heavy-handed methodologies.
Yes, exactly. That's part of why I'm saying she can be a bit dense sometimes.
Sai set down the green tea in front of Miho.
Thank you.
Has Miss Sakura ever drawn the culprit moral before? See you later, Scoop. Thanks for dropping by. No. An shook her head and Ron sighed a sigh of relief. Outside, the storm had started to intensify. Cracks of thunder could be heard outside the window, and the sound of raindrops on the windows, for some reason, gave Ron a craving for the coffee that Sai was preparing. Miho looked out the window, rubbing her fingertips up and down the teacups she held. Oh? Takei, are you worried about Toyama?
Yeah, I am. Wonder if she brought an umbrella with her.
Ron hadn't expected Miho to answer her in such a frank fashion, and her plan to make fun of her fell flat.
I'll go bring her an umbrella once she calls for aid.
Here you go. Your coffee and Sakura's green milk tea. Thank you. Had to have the sugar and milk beforehand, since it's an iced coffee and we don't have any molasses here. Let me know if you want more. You should have let me add it before you started brewing the coffee, then. You should have brought that up earlier, genius. Ron handed the coffee to An, wanting to see if An still liked it or not. Miss Sakura, why don't you take a sip? You used to like this a lot. That's so? Well, then I'll try it. An craned her head, using her hand to tuck her dangling hair behind her ears. As her lips touched the cup, they left gentle ripples on the coffee's surface. Sakura is just way too beautiful. Hiding from the storm indoors and enjoying her favorite drink together with Aunt Sakura, Ron's heart gradually filled with the sense of security that she cherished so much. An licked her lips a bit.
Well, not bad, but I don't particularly like it that much either.
I guess her body remembers how to enjoy coffee, but not her heart. Oh, Yuruno probably just screwed it up then. Sai took a seat, holding a fruit tea of a different flavor than what Ron had seen the night they'd met. Well, looks like Ibuki's been officially demoted to the tap water only caste, starting from today. Yuruno-sama, I overspoke foolishly. Please forgive my trespasses and spare me. Ron set the cup and its last few dregs of coffee down. She was concerned. A lot of time had passed, but Asakura had yet to send any word to the group. As if in response to her concerns, someone pushed open the dorm door. The person who entered, though, was an umbrella-bearing Koizumi. Oh, is everyone enjoying the tea together? As Koizumi limped her way toward the kitchen, Miho, who was closest to the door, immediately rose to help her.
How are you feeling? Does the wound still hurt?
A bit, but medications have helped a lot. Wound? Oh, probably from falling down the cliff yesterday. I hope it's not serious. Miho had Koizumi sit down in her seat, to save Koizumi from having to walk any further, and she quietly thanked Miho. What'll you be having, Koizumi? Milk tea, please. Heavy on the tea. Got it. We've only got green tea left, by the way. Will that be fine? Koizumi nodded, and Sai had just gotten up to start working when she was interrupted by the vibration of her phone again. This time it was an incoming call. Oh, okay. Got it. The call was very brief. Sai spoke after she hung up. Asakura says she still hasn't found Indo, and she's worried that Indo might get drenched in the rain. She's asking us to bring umbrellas and to help her look.
All right. I'll take the opportunity to pick up Aya as well.
Sai looked down at Koizumi, who was making as though she were going to get up, and gestured at her to sit back down. Koizumi, you should wait and rest here. You sit tight, I'll make you some tea.
Thank you. And I'm sorry.
Miho draped her hands on Koizumi's shoulders and even gave her a few pinches to serve as sort of a massage. Koizumi, who was apparently ticklish, pulled her neck in and giggled. No need to apologize. Get some rest. Though it's possible Indo's dead. In that case, it might be time for the great detective Ibuki to make her debut again. Oh, please don't make fun of me. Ron grimaced at Sai before realizing that, unbeknownst to herself, her attitude to the deaths of others around her had also subtly changed while she wasn't paying attention. They really aren't worked up over the possibility of a death at all. And even I don't panic much anymore when thinking about their deaths. Sure, it's because Miss Sakura's. Let's go, Miss Sakura. We can share an umbrella. An nodded, stood, and placed both Ron's cup and her own in the sink. Let's go, Ron. Ron and An headed towards the pool, calling out Tama's name incessantly. Oop. Double tapped. But even after they reached the destination, they saw neither hide nor hair of Tama. Nothing came of a thorough search of the changing room, the old showers, or of any of the areas around the pool. Ron held the umbrella and stood shoulder to shoulder with An at the pool's side. Ripples, large and small, rose momentarily from the surface of the water before the next raindrop's perturbation swallowed them. Ron, have we ever gone swimming together before? Oh, sure. Though, initially, I didn't know how to swim, so I mostly just watched you swim from the shore. Same thing when we visited the sea. I just stayed on the beach by myself. The sea? Talking about summer vacation of the first year of high school that you mentioned once? Yeah. We visited the sea a lot of times, but a lot of things happened there. Ron Ibuki sank back into the memories. Moonlight, fine sand, and ocean waves. I've tried once or twice. My body remembers how to swim, but I'm not very used to it yet. We should go swimming together later, then. Pick a time when Yuruno isn't present. Yeah. Though, I expect that Yuruno-san will always be present. After that, An shrank her shoulders in, as though she were feeling cold, and Ron immediately pulled her closer. They returned to the continued search for Tama Indo. The storm had made a mess of the courtyard, turning it into a sea of mud. Ron pulled An forward with heavy steps. Every step the two of them took left mud stuck to the soles of their feet. Be careful, Miss Sakura. It's okay. I'm fine. The two of them leaned on each other for support as they continued to search for where Tama might have gone. Let's check over there by the bushes and trees. Okay. Without realizing it, we've shifted to looking for a corpse. Everybody else is probably searching furiously in those places where it would be impossible for a living person to hide. Bit unsettling. They looked around the trees in the courtyard and found nothing, so they decided to head to the gymnasium. Ron put away the umbrella as they stood at the gate to the gymnasium. Before they entered, she took out a stack of napkins from inside her jacket and used one hand to support herself against a wall as she cleaned the mud off her shoes with the others. An also knelt on the floor, cleaning the mud off her own shoes as best as she could with the napkins that Ron had handed her. We'll have to wash her shoes thoroughly once we're done here. Yeah. Oh, spooky. Ron turned and pushed open the doors to the gym. The sound of the rain completely covered up the creaking of the old iron doors. Even though it was still theoretically day outside, the rain clouds were covering the sky had turned the gym completely dark. Exactly like that time I came here at night. Let me turn on the light. An searched over the wall for a while and found the light switch. The snap of a switch, Ron's field of vision was flooded with bright light. Before her eyes had even adapted to the light, she saw the vague silhouette of a person sitting on the stage in the center of the gym. Ron quickly rushed forward as her eyes gradually adjusted to the light around her. But as she approached her destinations, her steps grew slower and slower, while her heartbeat rose terribly in contrast. At the end, she was all but shuffling her legs as she reached the stage. She stared at the corpse before her with a ringing sound in her ears. Tama Indo's body was facing her, but her head was facing the opposite way. Her face had been twisted all the way to her back. Jesus. Ugh. Horrific. They twisted her. Makoto Asakura stood next to Tama Indo's corpse. She was soaked from head to toe. Rivulets of water fell from her hair, chin, and fingertips, to the point where several small puddles had formed next to her feet. Oh. We're having that weird issue with this game's cutscenes. There we go. Yeah, the cutscenes really screw this game up. Grab her neck and twist it! The old neck twist! She stood there motionless, with her back to everyone. Ron could only guess what expression she wore now. Was she crying? Or was she furious? After discovering the corpse, An messaged everyone else about it, and they soon arrived at the scene. Now that the gymnasium's floor was covered in muddy footprints, Ron, though, remembered clearly that she and An arrived at the gym, the floor had been pristine. Yeah, no, it's every time this game goes into one of its pre-rendered cutscenes, it just fucks the capture right up for some reason. I don't know why. Even though it was pretty self-evident, it's an extremely important detail. As Ron thought to herself, she looked around. She could tell from everybody else's expressions that they'd all been stunned by the horrible way that Tama had died as well. Might have been even more terrifying if the corpse had been divided into multiple parts, perhaps. But something like that would most likely have been done to conceal the crime. Or, in other words, it might have been more logical for the culprit to do that than this. Staring at the corpse, Ron felt a sense of fear from deep within. The way that Tama had died implied even more uncomfortable possibilities. Time gradually passed, but seemingly besieged by overwhelming silence, none of the students seemed willing to declare the start of the investigation out loud. We're all worried about Asakura, surely, as well as the fact that this must be a murder unlike any that they've ever had to deal with before. But we can't wait here forever. I'll break the ice this time. Aya's the one that's been acting the most suspicious. So it's possibly Aya, possibly Asakura, and it's possibly Mio, I think. Those are the three that I'm suspicious of right now. But we can't wait here forever. I'll break the ice this time. Let's begin investigating the corpse. We can put her back to normal after we've done investigating. Ron spoke and broke the silence, and everybody raised their hands to look at her. Sure. The school has a designated area for corpses, so we can grab a body bag and carry her over once we're done. Thank goodness Miss Sakura's case was solved so quickly. I don't know if I could have handled seeing Miss Sakura in a body bag. Then let me investigate the corpse. I'll tell everyone about the things I noticed so that we can save time. And Indo was so close to each of you that I'm worried that seeing her like this will distract you from the investigation. So, leave it to me. Miho nodded in agreement with Ron's statements before looking towards Asakura and gesturing at Ron. Right. Should probably ask her to be safe. Asakura, you heard, right? Is what I'm proposing acceptable? Asakura gave Ron a single glance, and then turned aside and headed to the steps at the edge of the stage. She sat down on the steps and lowered her head, her hair forming a dark veil that concealed her face. All right, gonna take that as acceptance then. Ron stepped up to the corpse and took a quick look over it. A lot of interesting points here. Before investigating the details, let's check the most conspicuous element here. The neck. The whole head's been turned all the way around. Anchan, how'd her neck get like this? Aya trundled over to the corpse, and the rest of the students slowly crept in as well. For a moment, Ron felt like she'd become the school's biology teacher, giving a lecture on the corpse to the class of students around herself. The neck muscles and skin display exaggerated torsion lines, which seem to be the result of an overwhelming torque force. It would have been far easier for the culprit to twist the head like this if the culprit had slit the victim's throat beforehand, but the culprit chose rather to use overwhelming force to rotate the muscles, neck, and spine all at once. Isn't always the neck, though? First Miss Sakura and now this? What do you people have against necks? So how much force would it take to twist the whole neck around like that? Is it like those Special Forces movies where the super agent just breaks someone's neck by twisting their head? As Koizumi spoke, she pantomimed the action. It was a terrible imitation. Had she not verbally described her intent, nobody could have deciphered just what her clumsy little wiggle was meant to be. Impossible. Nobody could possibly twist a living person's neck like this with their own strength alone. Even wringing an infant's neck like this would be difficult. The vertebrae would shatter and the fragments would likely pierce the skin. Compared to inflexible bone, twisting the skin and muscles requires a completely different order of magnitude of power. Besides, those from behind ambush attacks you see in movies do sort of exist in real life, but they work by impact force rather than twisting. How's that? Enlighten us. Basically, it's hitting the target's neck with your two hands from different angles, resulting in vertebral dislocation. The goal is to cause the major veins and artery in the neck to become compressed or even break, leading to dizziness or death for the target. Ooh, you learn something new every day. Ranchan sure knows a lot. So I guess all the time you didn't spend hanging out with An, you spent it stooping in front of a screen staring at medical documents. You two can find something to snark about no matter what the situation is, huh? Ron snuck in a glance at Asakura. She was still just sitting there, motionless. Anyway, point is, to twist Indo's neck like this, you have to use some kind of device. Any ideas? You all should know better than I do what kind of equipment you've got available at this school. Sai turned to shout towards Asakura. Oi, Asakura! There's a bunch of junk in the tool shed, ain't there? Any of it useful for this kind of thing? Well, I checked the tool shed myself that one time. I didn't see anything special, though it may have been deeper in the room than I bothered looking. Makoto Asakura raised her head. Her eyes were only half open, and the strands of her hair were plastered on the tall bridge of her nose. Rainwater dripped down from the corner of her eyes, making her look as though she was weeping. Even if that was, I couldn't possibly have come up with the idea of using them to make someone's head go on a carousel ride. She sounded no different than usual. If we're just talking about things that spin, electric drills, screwdrivers, pipe wrenches, crowbars, but people's heads are way bigger than the heads of screws. There's nothing that these tools could do for that. After Asakura finished, Ron nodded and brought herself so close to the body that her nose was practically touching Tama. Then let's start investigating the details. I think we, though, will save this for next time. The body's in very peculiar condition. Might be able to get a lot of clues out of it. But I'm gonna save it here. And come on back over here. And thank you all again for coming, as always. I very much value every single person who comes and hangs out while I go through these things. I hope y'all are having a good time as well. And I think with that, I'm gonna call it for the day. Yeah. Thank you all for coming. Have a great rest of your day. Hey, if you stuck around to the end of the video, I just wanted to say thank you, and I hope that you enjoyed. If you want to help support me in making more of this, you can follow me on Twitch, where I stream these live. Like, comment, and subscribe. I suspect you all know how this works by now, but it really does help a lot. Thanks.